Hello and welcome. I'm Stephanie from History Unboxed, and today I'm going to share with you the story of the three sisters. This is a story that is in many Native American tribes because of the importance of three crops to these peoples. The most famous of these versions comes from the Iroquois Nation. Once upon a time, three sisters lived together in a field. The oldest of the sisters was tall, with long yellow hair, and she wore a pale green shawl. Standing straight and watchful, she cared for her two younger sisters. The middle sister wore bright yellow. When the sun shone warm on her face and the gentle breeze blew in her hair, she ran across the field. The youngest sister dressed all in green. She was so young that she could only crawl at the feet of her two elder sisters. Despite their differences, the three sisters loved each other very much and could not bear to be separated from one another. They were sure that if anything ever forced them apart, they would surely die. One day it happened that a stranger came to their field. The stranger, a boy who stood as straight as an arrow, was as fearless as the eagle that soared in the sky. He could speak to his small brothers of the earth, the foxes and the chipmunks and the shrews. He could speak the language of the birds of the sky. As he sat in the field, carving a wooden bowl with a stone knife, the three sisters watched him. As he fitted an arrow to his bow, the three sisters watched. He came often to the field that summer. Late that summer, the oldest sister dressed in pale green, and the middle sister dressed in bright yellow, woke to find their youngest sister, the one dressed all in green, had disappeared. She could not crawl and had always clung to their skirts. They waited and waited until the fall, but the youngest sister did not return. The two older sisters mourned their sister. The boy returned to the field, and the two sisters watched him. He gathered reeds by the stream to make arrow shafts, his moccasins leaving footprints in the mud. The two sisters watched and wondered where he went when he left the field. The next morning, the oldest sister woke to find that her younger sister, who always dressed in yellow, had run off from the field entirely. Perhaps she had followed the tracks of the boy. The older sister had no way of knowing. Alone in the field, the oldest sister stood as tall and straight as ever, but with her heart filled with sorrow and loneliness. As the days grew shorter and colder, she wondered how she could stand to stay there all alone. Her pale green shawl faded and grew thin, and the wind tangled her long yellow hair. She tried to call out for her missing sisters, but her voice was as thin and mournful as the wind. At last, one day, the boy heard the voice of the oldest sister as it cried out for her missing sisters. Feeling sorry for her, he came to the field and carried her away, back to the lodge of his mother and father. To her delight, there she found her two missing sisters. They had been curious enough about the boy to go home with him, where they had remained safe and sound. The three sisters were filled with joy to be reunited at last. They decided to stay in the warmth of the lodge and make themselves useful. The youngest sister, dressed all in green, had grown up at last. She kept the dinner pot full. The middle sister, dressed in yellow, sat on a shelf drying out so she could fill the pot later. The oldest sister, in her faded green shawl, ground meal to make dinner for the boy and his family. The three sisters were never separated again. The three sisters are corn, squash, and beans. Which one do you think is which? Thank you for joining us today in this retelling of the Three Sisters legend, made famous by the Iroquois Nation and popular across the Americas where these crops played a vital role. We hope you will like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, since the story of history never ends. For more exciting hands-on history, please visit our website at historyunboxed.com. See you next time.